When I built my first solar system, I was convinced I had it all figured out. I thought solar panels meant that I would never go without power again. I thought generators could solve everything. And I bet that buying the cheapest equipment was the easiest way to learn and educate myself. Years later, I've built a lot of different systems, testing dozens of products, living through real outages and hurricanes, and I've changed my mind on just about everything. In this video, I'm going to tell you the 7 largest things I've changed my mind about since getting involved with solar, whether DIY or commercial installations. Number 1, I thought that solar meant that I would always have power. I got a huge system installed on my house, 13.6 kilowatt hours, 10,000 kilowatt inverter. Thought I had it all figured out. It was grid fed. It was the greatest idea. You don't need battery. It'd all go right back to the grid. And then when you needed it, it would come back from the grid. Reality is, when the power goes out, so does your grid fed solar. You've got no batteries. You can't backfeed from the grid. You can't have power on when the grid is off. Simple as that. Big mistake. But technology wasn't also here when I did that. You didn't have 1,000 different hybrid inverters available where you could easily connect your system. You didn't have all the off-grid ones. You didn't have batteries where you could buy, for under $200 a kilowatt hour, buy huge 15 and 30 kilowatt hour batteries. Lesson learned, if you don't have a battery, you don't have a system for emergency circumstances. So my mind changed on that drastically. Lesson learned, batteries change everything. All right, let's move on to number 2. I thought that if I had a generator, that, hey, it was a complete solution. A lot of people think just because they have a generator, when the power goes off, that everything is going to be okay. And I can tell you, I don't care if your generator plugs into your house, if it's 20,000 kilowatts of power, or if it's 1,000 watts of power. You're going to run out of gas in 2 or 3 days. I know, I've been there. Hurricane comes, you think, oh, great, you got a generator, you pull the start. And 2 or 3 days later, when all your neighbors' generators are off and yours is off, you realize the generator isn't a solution in its own. It has its place, but this is where I changed my mind. Lessons learned. Buy a generator. It solves a problem. It allows you to recharge your batteries in emergencies when the disaster is longer, bigger, worse than you ever dreamed it would be. Solar goes out for 3, 4, 5, 6 days at a time. Now you have a solution. Hurricane damages your panels. Now you have a way to charge your batteries. Reality, you're not going to have enough fuel. You're going to have to do a lot of maintenance to keep it running. Even while it's running, you have to have power to your house. You can't do both at the same time safely. It's noisy. It is a huge waste of fuel to have it running when you're only using idle consumption during the day. Or you can shut it down and have no generator, no power. A lot more hassle than it's worth. Extension cords running all over the place unless you go to the extra cost of hooking up the plugs to run directly backfeed into your system. What changed my mind? Automatic battery backups. Now I can see a hurricane coming, flip a switch, charges up all my batteries, and I can use the generator as an automatic switch on. Dry contacts in my inverter say, hey, my battery's getting low. It kicks on the generator, pulls it in at peak efficiency to charge my batteries instead of just sitting there kind of idling all day long, burning fuel when I'm not using the power. Figure out where the actual sweet spot is, run it at exactly that thing for as long as I need to charge my batteries, and then shut it off. Have a peaceful night's sleep, no more generators running, no risk of being poisoned by the fumes or any of that stuff. Generators have their place, but they're not a backup plan. They're an emergency to a backup plan. When I realized I could have a generator and charge my batteries, that's when I changed my mind. Because then there's nothing, when I got stuck in a hurricane and all I had was a generator, After about 2 or 3 days, I realized this isn't a solution. Extension cords running all over the place, trying to figure out where I'm going to get gas. I ended up with, tanks and tanks and gas all over the place, hoping that some store would open up and have gas so that I would be able to continue having power. That's when I changed my mind. Lesson learned. Number 3, I thought bigger was always better. I thought if you have a solar system, you always want a 48 volt system. I was wrong. Everyone says 48 volt for this, 48 volt for that, and therefore you should build a 48 volt system. It took me a while to understand, and don't get me wrong, I built some of the other systems when I first started, but I was always looking for bigger and better, because your goal when you're looking for hurricane relief is to run your house. Running a house, you should have a 48 volt system or even a high voltage system, no problem. But that doesn't mean that it solves every problem. For example, if you have an RV that has a 12 volt system already installed and you have only a couple of panels and some get shade and some don't, you might be better off with a 12 volt system. If you have a use for more than, 1,000, maybe 2,000, 3,000 watts, and you have some big devices with large surge, you may be looking for a 24 volt system, or you may have a Class A that has a 24 volt system already in use. So there are perfectly good uses for 12 volt, 24 volt, and this is one of the things that really changed my mind. Build your system based on your application of where you are and where you want to be. Don't just assume that a 48 volt system is always better. Sure, the wires are smaller, they're cheaper, but there's other things that can impact the quality of the system that you need, and there's other things that can impact what voltage your system needs to be to make it better than if you just assume 48 volt is always better. That's where I was wrong. And that's why my opinion has changed. Number 4, I thought more solar panels would solve everything. Now, it's taken me years of testing and playing around and using tons of solar systems to realize weather, winter, cloudy days, battery charging, expansion, battery capacity. These are a lot of things that are much more important than surely just the number of panels. Being able to properly store the excess of power, being able to properly use the excess of power is more important sometimes than having a ton of panels. Don't get me wrong, lots of panels are helpful, but they're not the only piece of the puzzle here. Being able to have a large enough inverter to support all my uses, being able to have enough battery power to do it, being able to have enough chargers to control that amount of power is what's really important. So I thought at first more panels always was best, and more panels is good, but it's not always the end solution to everything you're looking to do. Design your system properly from end to end is what I ended up coming up with. Not always just have more panels, because not necessarily can your system use more panels. Number 5, I thought that starting with the cheapest equipment would save me some money and I could just learn from it. I learned that I could save a couple bucks a day, but I also learned there's a lot of crappy equipment out there. There's a lot of cheap junk that is being sold off as solar equipment that shouldn't be on the market. And this is where the catch-22 is. If you don't have enough money to buy an inverter that actually works, or a charger that actually works correctly, you end up replacing it anyway and spending that amount of money. You're much better off waiting and buying the right equipment. I'm not saying you have to buy the $10,000 or the $20,000 system right off the bat. I'm saying you need to make sure that the equipment you're buying isn't some cheap junk that doesn't work properly. And there is a lot of it on the market. So what did I learn? I'm going to have to replace it later. I'm going to have compatibility problems with it in the sense of they don't always work right together. I'm going to have missing features, and I'm going to have problems that are unexpected, and I'm going to have a lot of hidden costs that ends up being as much as it would have been if I just had bought the right equipment in the first place. One of the important lessons I learned here is that there are a lot of cheap charge controllers out there, and most of them are garbage. Buy a name brand, it will save you a lot of trouble. You buy for expandability and you buy for reliability, and then you learn from those mistakes. When you buy this cheap equipment, what ends up happening is you're battling the problems this equipment has and the loss of features that you would have on nicer equipment, making the whole experience terrible compared to what it could be with good equipment. Not that some of it don't work, not that some of it won't work, but it still changes the experience completely. It's not an apples to apples comparison. Number 6, I thought when it came to commercially installed systems that the biggest company was the safest bet. Works with Walmart, but it doesn't work in the solar industry. I've realized that my thinking of big equals safe in the solar industry just means the scams are bigger, the salesmen push harder, they are rewarded for being more deceitful because they can get away with it in a lot of cases, that they can solicit entire neighborhoods, just canvass them with a herd of solar installers so that they can come into neighborhoods and quote unquote rip off a bunch of people all at the same time. Now, that said, I am not saying that all solar companies are rip-offs. I'm saying there are a lot of solar companies that are doing us absolutely no good for this industry, and they don't tell the whole story, and they're doing more harm for the long-term good of the industry than they are doing any good. They are taking their money and they're running. Now, what did I learn? The companies disappear. Companies' warranties change. Companies' customer support matters, especially when you first get a system installed. The reliability of these companies matter. The personnel that these companies keep. Ask your people, how long have they been there? How long have they worked there? What are they doing? Do they enjoy their job? Do they learn? You'll be surprised what some of these people will tell you. Product quality matters. That the products that they're using sometimes are the cheapest, or they leave out communication pieces, monitoring pieces, and tell you don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. What they'll do is they'll ignore it until you call and complain, but you have no way to know there's anything wrong. Buy products, not logos, not huge company logos or any of that. These companies need to have real references that you check. Don't just ask for them, check them. Check to make sure that if you're just calling them, that they have local people. Go knock on their door and ask them. You'll be surprised what people will tell you. Number 7, I thought the whole home backup was only a rich people's dream. And I'm telling you, that's not true these days. Solar is a reality. You can go off grid. Now, do you have to make certain accommodations sometimes? Yes, sometimes. But don't let anyone tell you you can't have an electric house and still be off grid. Don't let anyone tell you you have to go gas on all of this and all of that. Gas isn't any different than electric. You still have to provide some kind of fuels in order to run your home instead of being completely solar. Yes, you have to buy a system big enough to support what you want to do, big enough to support outages and have enough autonomy to last through and weather the storms, as it said. But it is not a dream anymore. Solar equipment, especially commercial equipment and the DIY equipment, has changed in the last 4 or 5 years so much that if you looked at it even 2 years ago, It is unrecognizable. 5 years ago, it is not even conceivable what was available then as compared to what there is now. All right, this used to be that in order to get a good solar system for a house like I have on mine, 13 kilowatt of power, 10 kilowatts of inverter power, grid fed, it's $60,000. No battery backup, no nothing. A pipe dream for most, unless you want to go finance it or something like that. And then battery backups was another $20,000, $30,000 on top of that. You were looking at $150,000 for a good solar system that could run your house. Now, with the way battery prices have changed, with the way DIY is working, the new hybrid inverters that are out, the build it in phases and add on to it as you go along, you can now drop in 15 kilowatts of batteries by having it shipped in, standing it up out of a pallet and plugging it in. Communications clicks right on, the battery comes up online, and automatically everything starts working. It is truly that simple these days. Lessons learned, start somewhere. But don't go super cheap because you are creating as many problems as you're solving when you go super cheap. Lesson 2, expand over time. You can grow a system, especially a house system. You can grow it to include new batteries. You can grow it to have multiple paralleled inverters so that you can support more and more loads. And you can start off by having it automatically switch off of solar and to the grid when it overloads. So you won't even notice that it's doing it, but at least those 2 or 3 peak moments of the day where it has problems doing something, it'll switch over back to the grid and then switch right back when it's done. And you'll be on solar 95% of the time or 98% of the time. And then you can deal with those problems as time goes by. Today, it is realistic for most homeowners to have a system that can power most of their life way a fraction of the cost of what it was just 5 or 10 years ago. 5 or 10 years ago, you were looking for a $60,000 to $100,000 system installed in your house to relieve yourself of a $300 or $400 electric bill. Today, you can do it for under $20,000, no questions asked, and do exactly the same relief as you did before. All this includes everything. Now, you have to do some of it yourself. You're still not paying for a commercial company to install it. That would be a bit more, but even if it was $30,000 with professional help, it's still less than half of what it was before and a third of what it was before to do DIY, and very expandable, whereas the systems that we're putting in before were almost non-existent expandable unless you had a mint in your back pocket. Let me wrap this up by saying, look, solar isn't what it used to be. It's now something that you can look forward to and you can build on. And the technology has changed so dramatically that you can share with the grid, you can replace the grid, you can charge only when storms, you can use it as an ups, you can use it to just supplement those high times of the day where they charge you 3 or 4 times the rate, the peak hour rates. You can peak shaving, as they call it. You can have a complete backup off grid. You can completely and totally have your house not even connected anymore. All of it is possible. The world has changed and the technology has changed. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below and I'll be glad to give you some advice, let you know what it is. There's a link down below to all of the systems that I build, and several of them are home systems that you can get started. I do complete builds online and everything like that. Would be glad to show you how to build a system of your own. If you're looking for a battery, I've got batteries. If you're looking for an inverter, I've got inverters on that list. If you are looking to figure out what you really need, I do a live stream almost every Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Come on back and join the live stream. Ask any questions you have about solar that you want the answers to. I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video, and I hope this helped.